Couscous.
Couscous is a traditional Berber dish of semolina which is cooked by steaming. It is traditionally served with a meat or vegetable stew spooned over it. Couscous is a staple food throughout the North African cuisines of Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Mauritania and Libya. Couscous served with fish is also a staple food in western Sicily, and is featured as a traditional food product officially recognized by the Italian Ministry of Agricultural, Food and Forestry Policies. Couscous was voted as the third favorite dish of French people in 2011 in a study by TNS Sofs for magazine Vie Pratique Gourmand, and the first in east of France.
Etymology.
The original name is derived from Berber language, Berber, sex-u. Numerous different names and pronunciations for couscous exist around the world. Couscous is /Couscous or /ku, skew in the United Kingdom and only the latter in the United States. In Berber it is known as sex-u or ksksu, and in Arabic, ksksy pronounced couscous. It is also known as ta'am, tm, literally meaning food in Algeria, sex-u, or ksksu in Morocco. Couscous in Tunisia, Libya, Couscous, ksksy, in Egypt, and ksks in Tuareg.
History.
One of the first written references is from an anonymous 13th-century North African cookbook, Kitab al-Tabik fi al-Marib wal-Andalus, the cookbook of the Marib and al-Andalus, with a recipe for couscous that was known all over the world. To this day, couscous is known as the North African national dish. Couscous was known to the Nasrid royalty in Granada as well. And in the 13th century Assyrian historian from Aleppo includes 4 references for couscous. These early mentions show that couscous spread rapidly, but generally that couscous was common from Tripolitania to the west, while from Cyrenaica to the east the main cuisine was Egyptian, with couscous as an occasional dish. Today, in Egypt and the Middle East, couscous is known, but in Algeria, Morocco, Tunisia and Libya couscous is a staple. It is the national dish of Algeria. Couscous was taken from Syria to Turkey in the 16th century and is eaten in most of the southern provinces. Couscous is a traditional meal of the cuisine from Trapani. In Rome, Bartolomeo Scapi's culinary guide of 1570 describes a Moorish dish, succushu. In Tuscany. One of the earliest references to couscous in France is in Brittany, in a letter dated January 12, 1699. But it made an earlier appearance in Provence, where the traveller Jean-Jacques Bouchard wrote of eating it in Toulon in 1630. Couscous was originally made from millet. Historians have different opinions as to when wheat began to replace the use of millet. The conversion seems to have occurred sometime in the 20th century, although many regions continue to use the traditional millet. Couscous seems to have a North African origin. Archaeological evidence dating back to the 10th century, consisting of kitchen utensils needed to prepare this dish, has been found in this part of the world. In some regions couscous is made from coarsely ground barley or pearl millet. In Brazil, the traditional couscous is made from cornmeal.
Preparation.
The semolina is sprinkled with water and rolled with the hands to form small pellets, sprinkled with dry flour to keep them separate, and then sieved. Any pellets which are too small to be finished granules of couscous and fall through the sieve are again rolled and sprinkled with dry semolina and rolled into pellets. This process continues until all the semolina has been formed into tiny granules of couscous. This process is labor-intensive. In the traditional method of preparing couscous, groups of women came together to make large batches over several days. These were then dried in the sun and used for several months. Couscous was traditionally made from the hard part of the durum, the part of the grain that resisted the grinding of the millstone. In modern times, couscous production is largely mechanized, and the product is sold in markets around the world. In the Sahelian countries of West Africa, such as Mali and Senegal, pearl millet is pounded or milled to the size and consistency necessary for the couscous. Properly cooked couscous is light and fluffy, not gummy or gritty. Traditionally, North Africans use a food steamer, called a couscous in Arabic or a couscous in French. The base is a tall metal pot shaped rather like an oil jar in which the meat and vegetables are cooked as a stew. On top of the base, a steamer sits where the couscous is cooked, absorbing the flavors from the stew. The lid to the steamer has holes around its edge so steam can escape. It is also possible to use a pot with a steamer insert. If the holes are too big, the steamer can be lined with damp cheesecloth. There is little archaeological evidence of early diets including couscous, possibly because the original couscous was probably made from organic materials which could not survive extended exposure to the elements.
Instant couscous.
The couscous that is sold in most Western supermarkets has been pre-steamed and dried. The package directions usually instruct to add 1.5 measures of boiling water or stock and butter to each measure of couscous and to cover tightly for 5 minutes. The couscous swells and within a few minutes it is ready to fluff with a fork and serve. Pre-steamed couscous takes less time to prepare than regular couscous, most dried pasta, or dried grains such as rice.
Local variations.
In Algeria, Morocco, Tunisia, and Libya, couscous is generally served with vegetables, carrots, potatoes, turnips, etc. cooked in a spicy or mild broth or stew, and some meat, generally, chicken, lamb or mutton. In Algeria and Morocco it is also served, sometimes at the end of a meal or just by itself, as a delicacy called sifar. The couscous is usually steamed several times until it is very fluffy and pale in color. It is then sprinkled with almonds, cinnamon and sugar. Traditionally, this dessert is served with milk perfumed with orange flower water, or it can be served plain with buttermilk in a bowl as a cold light soup for supper. In Libya, it is mostly served with meat, specifically mostly lamb, but also camel, and very rarely beef, in Tripoli and the western parts of Libya, but not during official ceremonies or weddings. Another way to eat couscous is as a dessert. It is prepared with dates, sesame, and pure honey, and locally referred to as marioud. In Tunisia, it is made mostly spicy with harissa sauce and served with almost everything, including lamb, beef, camel, and poultry. Fish couscous is a Tunisian speciality and can also be made with octopus in hot, red, spicy sauce. Couscous in Tunisia is served on every occasion. It is also served, mostly during Ramadan, sweetened as a dessert called masfouf. In Egypt, couscous is eaten more as a dessert. It is prepared with butter, sugar, cinnamon, raisins, and nuts and topped with cream. Couscous is also very popular in France, where it is now considered a traditional dish, and has also become popular in Spain, Portugal, Italy, and Greece. Indeed, many polls have indicated that it is often a favorite dish. Although introduced in France by the Pieds Noirs, people of European descent who used to live in Algeria, many couscous restaurants are now owned by people originating from Algeria. In France, Spain, Italy, and Portugal, the word couscous, couscous in Spanish, Portuguese, and Italian, usually refers to couscous together with the stew. Packaged sets containing a box of quick preparation couscous and a can of vegetables and, generally, meat are sold in French, Spanish, Italian, and Portuguese grocery stores and supermarkets. In France, it is generally served with harissa sauce. In North America, Australia, and the United Kingdom, couscous is available most commonly either plain or pre-flavored in quick preparation boxes. In the United States, it is widely available, normally found in the ethnic or health food section of larger grocery stores. There are recipes from Brazil and other Latin American countries that use boiled couscous molded into it and bale with other ingredients. In northeastern Brazil and among the diaspora of its population in other Brazilian regions, couscous, Portuguese pronunciation, locally, cuscuz in Rio de Janeiro, cuscuz in São Paulo, a steamed cake of couscous and corn flour, a mixture called fubá, pronounced Portuguese pronunciation, said to be of African origin from the slave trade, is a popular meal, served in many forms, with sugar and milk, with varied meats, with cheese and eggs, and so on. Palestinians typically serve it on occasions and holidays. It was brought by Moroccan migrants to Palestine, where it has been modified to what's called mafchoul. Although mafchoul is considered as a special type of couscous but made from different ingredients and a different shape, it is larger than North African couscous. Mafchoul is an Arabic word derived from the root fatala, which means to roll or to twist, which is exactly describing the used method to make mafchoul by hand rolling bulgur with wheat flour. In Israel there is a dish similar to couscous called titim. The dish has many variations and it could appear as a mini triangles, or looking like a rice, which is the original type, and it is sometimes called Ben Gurion rice and many other variations. The most famous variation of titim is looking like couscous, and as Americans started to call it Israeli couscous, then Osam Company started to product it outside Israel under this name. Titim is not the same as maghrabia, also known as mafchoul, pearl couscous etc., despite what you might read elsewhere, though the two can be used similarly. Maghrabia is a coated couscous. Titim is an extruded paste. Note as well that the word mafchoul is sometimes incorrectly used in America to refer to Israeli couscous.
Nutrition.
Couscous has 3.6 g of protein for every 100 grams. Furthermore, couscous contains a 1% fat-to-calorie ratio.
Similar products.
Atiek, a variety of couscous that is a staple food in Côte d'Ivoire and is also known to surrounding regions of West Africa, made from grated cassava. Wassa wassa, is another variety of couscous made in northern Togo made from yams. Berkaukas are pasta bullets made by the same process, but are larger than the grains of couscous. Couscous in Greek or couscous in Turkish, a pasta from Greece and Turkey, that is boiled and served with cheese and walnuts. In Brazilian cuisine, the couscous marroquino is a version, usually eaten cold, of the couscous. Brazilian couscous is usually made out of cornmeal, rather than semolina wheat. Another festive molded couscous dish, containing chicken, vegetables, spices, steamed in a mold and decorated with orange slices, is called couscous de galina. In Lebanese cuisine, Jordanian cuisine and Palestinian cuisine, a similar but larger product is known as mafchoul or mourabaye. Israeli couscous, in Hebrew titim flakes, also called titim, is a larger, baked wheat product similar to the Italian